Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Ryan, eBay handle QualityCrap, showing you how these Raspberry Pi custom retro gaming consoles work. I'll try to be kind of quick, but I'll try to give you a quick tour. First of all, this case is not built by me, it's built by CanaKit. I'm happy to leave a description and a link below in the description. It's plastic, it's good quality, it's not awesome, but it's exactly what we need for this. That's underneath the plastic piece there is a Raspberry Pi 3 motherboard. There's heat sinks, avoiding the need for a fan. Some connections. This just snaps back on, stays in place, no screws needed. Good ventilation on the bottom and on the sides all around, and on the top that's hollow. I mean, that's transparent, so air gets in and out of there. Here's the connections. This is obviously an Ethernet in case you need that. For USB connections, there's the micro SD card. There's already one in there that I've pre-programmed. And there's your headphones, your HDMI, and your power supply. Let's plug it in. Let's see how it works. I'm going to be using an SNES style controller. These work best on these things, and this is my favorite brand. Bang for the buck, not very inexpensive, and the buttons have a good feel to them, very similar to what we used to play on the old SNES. So I'm going to plug all these things in and get it going. There's no power button on the power supply, so once I plug it in, it should start booting up. And it might take a minute. It's a small computer, and I can see there's lights in there that are already going, so that's a good sign. I'm going to also plug in I could pick any one of the 4 USBs. Just pick that one, just because. And I got my TV on the right channel, so give it a minute, and it will start to boot up. Unplugged it from the wall and plugged it back in. I don't know if that does anything, but I expected it to boot up. Oh, there it is. Apparently I had to plug it into the wall. So you see it booted up immediately. There's the RetroPie, open access software. Anybody can get this online for free. It also uses Emulation Station. You'll be seeing that logo in a little bit. All of this is preloaded and programmed onto the micro SD cards. They come with the kit, so it's ready to plug and play when you get one. No, it is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capable, but you may not need that. So I'll show you what it looks like when it first boots up. It will either say detecting gamepad. If there's nothing plugged in there, it'll say no gamepad detected. But I do have something plugged in, so it didn't give me any kind of a menu. So we can see the kind of systems and types of ROMs that are in here: arcade, Atari, Lynx. I think that's Famicom, Game Gear, Game Boy. I love the graphics. I love how it gives a little, a little outline. Almost looks like Virtual Boy, kind of a outline of the game system. Sega Mega Drive is your basic Sega Genesis, N64, Neo Geo, NES. Some of the Neo Geo arcade games are in this Neo Geo menu. Neo Geo Pocket, some stuff that you've never played before. Here's a RetroPie menu. By clicking A, I can go into the menu. This is where I can set up my Bluetooth controller like a PS4 or an Xbox One controller. I can set up the Wi-Fi. Not that you would need to, but you might want to add some programs down the road like Kodi or something like that and watch movies. You can set up, everything's been set up, but if you need to change some settings, you can come in here and do that. You can change the audio if something's not working. Can you hear the RetroPie console? No, it's silent. You can hear me clicking through the menu. You actually don't need to go back to the menu. You can stay in here and go side to side. Sega 32X, SG-1000, Super Nintendo, Sinclair, some stuff that you're never going to play. Maybe you will. List of favorites. You can add games and remove games from your favorites. You can also, if you're like me and you like to play the same 30 or 40 games, this has a nice collection of your last played games, so you don't have to go through the menu and find the game every single time. The reason I say that this SNES style controller is best is because that's basically how RetroPie and Emulation Station use it. So if you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can see Select brings up some options. You can jump to numbers or letters. You can sort them different ways. If you hit Start, it pulls up another menu. This is like the main menu where you can change sound settings, UI settings, so you can add, you can change the screensaver settings. You can change the appearance. I personally like it like it is right now. Game collection. We have a list of favorites. We have a list of last played. We could also have a list of all games. I think that's unnecessary, but you can do that yourself. You can configure input if you want to plug in another controller, even if it's the same one or a different one. You can configure all the buttons on there. I'm going to back up. You see it also at the bottom, Y for favorites, X for random, which helps you bounce around from letter to letter pretty easily. B is back, A is launch. So if I just plugged in a NES style controller, I wouldn't have access to the X and Y buttons, which is fine, but it's just this works best. And then you can add controllers as you need to. Let me show you some gameplay so you know how cool and how real this is. I'm going to go to Simpsons arcade game. There's I think over 2,300 arcade games on here, most of them made before 2003. I think almost all of them that were made before 2003 should be on here. If I'm missing some, you can add them if you have the ROM or can get the ROM. I can send you some instructions on how to get that. By the way, I'll put a link to these in the Next controller, iNext controller, so put a link to that in the description as well. Oh, I love that. Now, on these arcade games, pushing Select puts in a quarter. I'm going to add a bunch of quarters. You can pick your character, just like the old arcade game. I'll pick Bart, because why not? Oh, I had to push B. Okay. On the old arcade games, there are only two buttons. One of them was jump, and one of them was attack. So you can change the settings, you can do whatever you want, but it automatically configures to something. So I can already figure out B is attack, A is Y is jump. I can change that if I want to. All right, I'll put the controller down and show you how this works. Now, on these arcade games and most other games, I'm going to hit Select a few more times, show you all the credits going in there. On almost every game, except the N64 games, because there's no Select button on the N64, pushing Start and Select at the same time gets you back to the menu. Just about in every system. I'll show you a couple more. Super Mario World is one of my favorite SNES games. I play it a lot. I've tested this one to make sure it works. It's going to find the right system to launch